players in the world. We have the best fans in the world. But right now, we have the worst leadership in the world.
You just heard two fundamentally different things. First, the declaration of war, delivered by a respected veteran. Then, the quiet endorsement, delivered by the league's biggest star. On the surface, this looks exactly like the story the mainstream media sold you. A brave player, Nafisa Collier, went public with a shocking accusation, and the subject of that accusation, Caitlin Clark, simply agreed with her. But for the narrative analysts watching, for our community, you know, that's not the real story. That's never the real story. This wasn't a spontaneous reaction. This was the public execution of a meticulously crafted plan, and Caitlin Clark's calm, measured response wasn't a sign of weakness or hesitation. It was a masterful chess move in a high-stakes battle for the future of the WNBA, move designed to let a trusted ally take all the public heat, while she protected the 16 million brand that gives her all the power. The media told you this was chaos. We're going to prove to you it was a coordinated attack. This is the kind of deep dive investigation we live for. So if you believe the story behind the story is what really matters, do me a favor and hit that like button right now. It's a small click, but it tells us you want to see more of the truth the league office would rather keep hidden. All right, let's filter out the noise. The official narrative goes something like this. Nafisa Collier, in a moment of frustration during her exit interview, decided to go rogue. She leaked her private conversation with Commissioner Cathy Engelbert, dropping the bombshell that Engelbert believes Caitlin Clark should be grateful and that other players should be on their knees thanking her for the media deal. In this version of events, Caitlin Clark, caught off guard, was then forced to respond and did so by offering a simple, supportive comment. That story is clean. It's simple E, and it's complete fantasy. Superstars at the level of Caitlin Clark do not get caught off guard by league-shattering news. Players who are the face of an entire sport, who are the CEOs of their own global brands, do not make simple, supportive comments without them being vetted, calculated, and surgically precise. Her response wasn't a reaction, it was a weapon, disguised as a compliment. To understand the genius of her move, you have to dissect the words themselves. Listen to them again. I have great respect for fees. I think she made a lot of very valid points. Valid points. That is not the language of an emotional player jumping into a fight. That is the detached, professional language of a corporate executive. She doesn't say, "I'm furious," or "the commissioner is lying." She doesn't co-sign the anger or the personal nature of the attack. She validates the argument. By doing so, she provides the official stamp of approval from the league's biggest asset, giving Collier's claims immense credibility while keeping her own hands perfectly clean. She showed solidarity with the players without declaring war on the league office. It's a public relations masterclass. She pushed her chips to the center of the table without ever having to show her cards. Now, compare her calculated, calm statement with the raw, unfiltered rage you saw from media personalities who had nothing to lose.
Cathy Engelbert needs to resign.
This is the dumbest league run by absolute morons. I've been saying it forever.
You don't act like that. You don't act like that. And she should have...
That's the difference. Dave Portnoy and Stephen A. Smith can afford to go scorched earth. Their brands are built on explosive, emotional takes. Caitlin Clark's brand is built on excellence, poise, and being an aspirational figure for millions. Getting into a public mudslinging match with the commissioner, no matter how justified, risks tarnishing that image. It's a risk her business team would never allow her to take. And that brings us to the core of this entire strategy, the motive. This wasn't about avoiding a fight. It was about winning the war in the smartest way possible, and that motive is the single most important variable in this entire equation money. Not the league's money, but Caitlin Clark's. Let's be perfectly clear. Caitlin Clark is not just a basketball player. She is a global corporation. The competitor video and multiple reports confirm she has an estimated 16 million in off-court endorsements. She is the face of Nike, Gatorade, and State Farm. Those contracts are not just based on her talent, they are based on her image. An image of a polished, professional, and overwhelmingly positive superstar. That is the asset that must be protected at all costs. Getting into a drawn-out, public, and ugly war of words with the commissioner of the league is a direct threat to that asset. It creates negative headlines. It associates her brand with dysfunction and controversy. It risks painting her as a diva or difficult narratives that sponsors run from. A single misstep, a single emotional outburst in a press conference could jeopardize millions of dollars and years of careful brand building. So what do you do when you are the queen on the chessboard? Too valuable to risk in an open fight, but you need to eliminate a threat. You don't attack yourself, you deploy your most powerful and trusted piece to do it for you. Enter Nafisa Collier. For the narrative analysts watching, this is where you have to zoom out and appreciate the brilliance of the casting. Collier wasn't just some random player who decided to speak her mind. She was, strategically, the single most perfect person to launch this attack. Why? Because of her resume. She is a multi-time All-Star, an Olympian, and one of the most respected veterans in the game. But most importantly, she is the Vice President of the WNBA Players Association. That title is everything. It means when she speaks, she isn't just speaking for herself. She is speaking with the institutional power of the entire union behind her. This wasn't a personal complaint, it was an official grievance. And in case there was any doubt about whether she was acting as a lone wolf, the Players Association erased it almost immediately. They didn't just support her. They released a powerful statement that was essentially a declaration of unified rebellion.
WNBA also issued a statement. They said Nafisa Collier is an outstanding leader and officer of this union. When Fee speaks, people listen. We are confident that her words today speak to the feelings and experiences of many, if not most, of our members. The leaders of the league and its teams would benefit from listening to her powerful statement.
Let that sink in. The union publicly stated that Collier's words speak for many, if not most, of their members. That is not a defense of a rogue player. That is a coordinated message. It confirms Collier was the tip of the spear for a league-wide sentiment. She had the backing, the credibility, and the institutional protection to say the things that Caitlin Clark, the corporate asset, could not. This is the core of the plan. Clark is the economic engine. She is the one driving the record ratings and sellout crowds the league desperately needs. Her power is in her brand and popularity. Collier's power is in her position as a union leader and a respected veteran. By combining those two forces, Collier launching the attack and Clark giving the quiet, powerful nod of approval, they created a checkmate scenario. The commissioner was boxed in, facing a unified revolt from her players. Tacitly endorsed by the very star her league's financial future depends on. The evidence of a coordinated effort is overwhelming. But what do you think? Was this a brilliant, coordinated play between the league's biggest star and its union leadership? Or was it just a lucky coincidence that they both decided to challenge the commissioner at the exact same time? Let me know your take in the comments below. Drop coordinated play or lucky coincidence, and let's see where the narrative analysts stand on this. Now, for those who might still think this was a spontaneous event, we have to look at the timeline. Because this strategic patience from Caitlin Clark is not a new phenomenon. It's part of a pattern. Let's connect the dots back to an incident the league office would love for you to forget, the Rookie of the Year award controversy. As the competitors' video and fan speculation have pointed out, when Paige Bueckers won the award, Commissioner Engelbert personally walked out on stage to present the trophy in a grand public ceremony. It was a major photo opportunity, a validation from the highest level of the league. But when Caitlin Clark won, she received what was described as a cold, impersonal phone call. At the time, the perceived snub generated a lot of online chatter, but Clark herself remained silent. She didn't complain to the media. She didn't post cryptic messages on social media. She absorbed the perceived disrespect, filed it away, and kept playing. A lot of people saw that silence as a weakness, But now, with the benefit of hindsight, we can see it for what it was: strategic discipline. She understood then that a rookie complaining about a trophy presentation would make her look petty. It was the wrong fight at the wrong time. So she waited. She waited for a better issue, a stronger ally, and a moment when the stakes were much, much higher. And that brings us to the unspoken leverage in this entire situation, the parts of the story the mainstream media completely ignored. This scandal didn't happen in a vacuum. Its timing was surgically precise. According to our research, this entire firestorm erupted just as the WNBA and the Players Association are heading into critical, high-stakes negotiations for a new collective bargaining agreement, or CBA. The current deal is set to expire, and the future of everything from player salaries and revenue sharing to travel conditions is on the table. Do you really think it's a coincidence that the players chose this exact moment to publicly kneecap the commissioner? This wasn't just about getting an apology for some hurtful comments. This was about seizing leverage by creating a massive public relations crisis for Cathy Engelbert and painting her as an out-of-touch, anti-player leader. The WNBPA walks into those negotiations with all the power. The commissioner is now negotiating from a position of profound weakness, desperate to restore her reputation and prove she is, in fact, on the player side. But the story doesn't even end there, because Nafisa Collier isn't just the vice president of the Players Association. She is also the co-founder of a brand new 3-on-3 basketball league called Unrivaled. This is the dot that changes the entire game. Collier isn't just threatening to disrupt the WNBA from the inside, she is actively building a potential competitor on the outside. This gives her, and by extension, the players she represents, the ultimate leverage. Her critique of the WNBA's leadership isn't just a complaint anymore. It's a sales pitch for her own player-first alternative. So let's put all the pieces on the board and look at the final picture. This was never just about Caitlin Clark's feelings. It was about her future and the future of the entire league. The end game of this brilliantly executed strategy is a complete reset of the power dynamic in the WNBA. By letting Nafisa Collier, the credible union leader and founder of a rival league, be the public face of the rebellion, Caitlin Clark achieves multiple objectives at once. First, she protects her pristine, multi-million-dollar brand from any negative blowback. Second, she sends an unmistakable message of solidarity to every other player in the league, strengthening her position as a leader. And third, she helps create an existential crisis for the commissioner right before the most important contract negotiation in the league's history. The ultimate goal: a new commissioner who understands that the league's success comes from its star players, not in spite of them. A new CBA that reflects the massive new value players like Clark are bringing to the table, and a league culture that respects its assets instead of telling them to be grateful. Caitlin Clark's quiet, two-word endorsement, valid points, wasn't a footnote in this story. It was the checkmate. It was the move that signaled to the entire world that the league's most powerful piece was backing the rebellion, and that the old guard's reign was officially over. When we filter out all the noise, the picture becomes crystal clear. Caitlin Clark's measured response wasn't a sign of weakness or a simple reaction to a news story. It was a master class in modern power brokering. She allowed her trusted ally to fight a necessary public battle over respect, all while she was quietly positioning herself to win the silent ice, behind-the-scenes war for money and control. She didn't just win a news cycle. She fundamentally altered the power structure of the WNBA without ever having to raise her voice. So what's your take on all this? We want to know your final verdict. Was this a brilliant and necessary act of brand protection to secure her future, or was it a cold-like, calculated player betrayal of the league's chain of command? Drop your definitive take in the comment section below. If you believe the real story is never the official story, and you want to be part of a community that connects the dots, Make sure you subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell. We are tracking the fallout from this and the ongoing CBA negotiations, and you don't want to miss the next chapter. And finally, if you know a fan who's still stuck on the surface-level drama, share this video. Every narrative analyst deserves to understand the real chess match being played for the soul of the WNBA.